it's Desiree. Welcome back to my channel for another episode of Dear Desiree. You know, I get a lot of questions about proper Zoom etiquette these days with all of the social distancing going on and all of our normal in-person meetings moving to video conferencing. So here are my top tips for having proper Zoom etiquette and being able to rock those virtual meetings like a boss. So let's start with the very basics. What do you need to do before a Zoom meeting to make sure that you are presented in a very professional manner? The first one, I highly recommend using a laptop versus a phone if possible. The computer has a lot more features than a phone will allow you to use during a Zoom meeting, and it's really nice to be able to use the laptop and to position it at a proper angle. So it looks a lot better if you can try to make sure that the camera is at eye level versus higher or lower. Oftentimes using a laptop lift will be very helpful when you're trying to get your camera at the perfect height. So when you're speaking, make sure to look into the camera versus looking at yourself, and it will portray that you're giving eye contact to the people that are also on the call with you. The next step I would suggest is make sure to eat before and after your Zoom meetings or virtual meetings. Make sure that you are have taken care of all of your basic needs, such as eating, using the restroom, things like that, before the call begins, and then try to hold off until your meeting is over. You know, no one really wants to watch each other eat food or listen to each other eat food, so try to take care of that before and after your scheduled video meeting. Speaking of hearing each other, there is a mute button, so make sure you take advantage of this. This is very key. Use the mute button. If you are not the one speaking, then mute yourself until it is your turn to speak. We want to be mindful of any background noise. I mean, with all of us working from home these days, it can be busy in our households, and that's okay. You know, children and pets are part of our lives, but be mindful of the background noise that they create. So with that being said, make sure that you mute yourself. When it's your time to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself and use that feature to say whatever you need to say, and then when you're done speaking, go ahead and mute yourself again. The next thing that I would suggest is to make sure to use good lighting. So when it comes to lighting, you want to make sure that the light is either in front of you or next to you or above you. But if you have windows behind you or the light is directly behind you, then what's going to happen is you're going to look more like a shadow. So good lighting is key. You can purchase items that are helpful, such as a ring light sold on Amazon or other places like that. But make sure that it's a well-lit area and that the lighting is not coming from behind you so that people can see you very clearly. You want to also conduct yourself as though you were meeting in person. So this means to dress appropriately, use appropriate body language, and have good posture as though you're paying attention and you're showing that you're attentive in the meeting. So it helps to just get up and get dressed and get ready for the meeting as though you were going to attend this meeting in person. It really sets the tone of professionalism. Okay, so those are my suggestions for prior to the meeting, but once you are actually in the meeting, these are my suggestions to make sure that you have a successful meeting and you are shown as the professional that you truly are. So first, this seems obvious, but there are all kinds of bloopers out there where people take their cameras where they don't mean to, thinking that their camera's turned off or whatever the case may be. So remember, just never take your camera somewhere that it shouldn't go. So if you have to stop and take a restroom break or anything along those lines, then make sure that you turn your camera off, you leave your computer at your desk or your table, and you take care of business and then come back. So make sure you never take your camera anywhere that you wouldn't want it to be. Next, you want to make sure, I mentioned the mute feature, but there's also a chat feature. So if you have a lot of background noise going on where you are, make sure that you click on the chat button, and then you can type your questions or comments there. And then whoever's hosting the meeting can read the comments when it's a good point in the conversation for them to address the comments. So use the chat feature. It's really helpful, and especially if you have a lot of background noise going on and you have to remain muted, then take advantage of that chat feature that's at the bottom of the screen. Then when it is your turn to talk and you unmute yourself, your audience will really appreciate it if you project your voice. So make sure that they can hear you speak a little bit louder than you normally do, and everyone on the call will appreciate it. So just remember to project your voice when it is your turn to speak, and unmute yourself before you begin speaking as well. So that pretty much wraps it up when it comes to having proper Zoom or video call etiquette. I'll do a quick recap of what we just talked about really quickly. So first of all, if you can, use a laptop versus a cell phone. Make sure that your camera is at eye level, so that way you can stay focused and maintain eye contact with the camera when you're speaking. Eat before and after you are conducting or on a video conference call. And pay attention to your background. Make sure, I think maybe I missed this one, but I'll just go ahead and go over it real quick. Make sure you have an appropriate background. Make sure that it's something that you don't mind other people seeing, that it looks nice, that there's nothing that you'd be embarrassed of other people seeing behind you. So make sure that you're very aware of what your background looks like. Make sure you have good lighting. The lighting should always come from above you or in front of you rather than behind you. Make sure to dress appropriately and conduct yourself the same way that you would conduct yourself in an in-person meeting, using appropriate body language and posture and things like that. Be mindful of our background noise. So we're going to make sure that we are muted and taking advantage of the mute feature with our busy households, and that we don't take the camera anywhere that we don't want it to go. We're also going to use the chat feature until it is our turn to speak, and we're going to project our voice when it is our turn to share with the rest of the group. I hope this Zoom etiquette has been helpful for everyone tuning in today. And remember, you can always leave a message in the comments, and I will be happy to answer anything that you would like me to address. So I hope you're having a great day, and we will see you on the next episode of Dear Desiree. Thanks for watching. Bye.